Shel C from PaperOcotilloStudio. Today I'm sharing with you days, what is it, 9, 10, and 11 of the 31 Days of Gel Printing Challenge on Instagram from Birgit Koopson. And she just has a list of prompts, which I put at the beginning. And you go along each day and you follow the prompt and you do some gel printing, and then you're like, yeah, this is awesome. And then you don't want to stop. That's pretty much how it goes. So one of my favorite things to do with packaging, which is the prompt for day 9, is to use the styrofoam from meat trays. You know how you buy chicken and beef in the store and it comes on a little styrofoam tray. And as you see, I cut the flat part out of the bottom of it. And then I use a ball tool. You can also use a ballpoint pen or pencil, but I use a ball stylus to draw a design, a nice deep design into that styrofoam. I go over it a little bit a couple times just to make sure that it's really good and in there. And I want the channels to be wide enough that I will be able to press acrylic paint down into them and kind of smooth on the edges, because if they're rough and scratchy or if there's chunks out, well, that's a look, but that's not the look I'm going for. If there's chunks of styrofoam out, it'll look kind of like grunge. So, you could do that too. You can make a really interesting texture plate that way. But I just usually draw some type of a doodly design. And then I take an gift card scraper type thing and I scrape paint across this plate that I've made and make sure that the paint is pressed down into the grooves, so that the grooves are all full up with paint. And then once I press it down onto my gel plate, it makes a pattern. And I have lots of these, well, not lots, but a few that I've made in the past. There's a video where I make an entire art journal using this type of an idea, including making someone's name print in the right direction by using styrofoam and foam and stuff like that. So if you want that video, I'll link it in the iCard above so that you can look at it. Some of you've probably already seen it, but it's in my gel printing playlist that I will also link at the end of the video. So then once that black paint has dried on the gel plate, then I use some other colors of acrylic paint in a thin layer to pick up the black paint. So I want that thin layer of colored paint to stick to the black and pull it off the plate. And it works best if you really let this dry really, really well. I'm a little bit impatient, so I sometimes tend to go over it before it's completely dry, as I'm sure you've seen in the videos. What is this, the third or fourth or fifth video? I don't even know. I'm impatient. I don't wait. So some of that black was still left this time. I also am doing the tags. Remember, I'm doing the tag book, tags for each technique through the whole month, and then I'll have a little flip through book at the end that I can remember all the things that happened during the challenge and repeat them if I want. Of course, this is mono printing, so you can't ever really repeat anything. It'll only come out one way, one time, and that's it. That's all you get. You can't duplicate it, but you can try. So I decided to go ahead and put some unbleached titanium paint on and pull that off, the rest of the stuff that was on there, off with a piece of craft deli paper. That's something I just got from Amazon. It's brownish colored deli paper, and I thought, hey, that might be kind of fun, because I knew that the challenge for gel printing was coming up, and I ordered it at the same time as I got this 12 by 12 plate that I'm using. So I pulled out another one of my styrofoam pieces that I had in the past and decided to do some copper colored, more autumn colored colors on my plate, which is kind of weird because I've been into the spring colors. But I figured I'd make something. I'm making these pages, these double-sided, double-printed pages for a journal that I plan to make when the whole challenge is over. I'm also making fun little extra bits on tags and just doing like sections of the tags. This is the thing I've been doing lately, is just pulling up a little something on a tag in a section and then pulling up something else in a different section. And those will all be fun backgrounds that I'll use in the future to make, you know, fun altered tags. So I've been saving those. I have a ton of those shipping tags. I bought a box of 1,000 of them, so that's a lot of shipping tags. I can use them whenever I feel like it. There's so many, I'll pass away and I'll still own shipping tags. So I don't anticipate ever having to buy them again. So then on the flip side of this piece, which is one of the pages that I'm doing for my book, I decided to use a different one of my styrofoam printing plates and make white. So I scraped white onto the plate, printed that onto the gel plate, and then went over that, and so then you get white lines instead of black. So I did black, I did copper, and then I did white. So other things that are involved in packaging, bubble wrap makes, bubble wrap is like the best tool for gel printing ever. It's just so good. And there's large bubble wrap and there's small bubble wrap, and that was the large bubble wrap, and I was just kind of doing a cleanup print, but then I also made a pattern with it as well. So another fun thing that comes inside packaging is corrugated everything. That little piece at the bottom was some corrugated cardboard that came out of a cookie tin, and then the lines at the top on this one are I ordered those, well, actually I got them as a gift, those Spectrum Noir markers, and they came in a box and they were in a tray. And that tray makes interesting lines, parallel line packaging looking lines. So I used that as well. And then this one is something that had charms or buttons or something in it, and it makes little rectangles. So, just look at all the packaging and save it if you think it'll make an interesting pattern. There's some of the smaller bubble wrap, and these are just some tags that I'm messing with and then going to use sometime in the future. A couple of them will go in my little flip book, and then the rest of them I'm just keeping for sometime in the future. So that was day 9, packaging. Day 10 is gel printing on fabric. And of course, these prompts are just something to start off with. You don't have to take it in the way. I mean, I don't know. Is it gel printing on fabric, or is it gel printing making it look like fabric? So one of the things that I like to use is burlap to make a texture. It makes a great fabric texture, and then your piece of paper that you've printed on looks like fabric because it's got that nice wide weave. So I have this 6x6 piece of fabric that I keep to make texture on my plate. It's just, with all my other weird stuff that I use in a box underneath the desk, and I keep kicking it with my feet. So it's just fun, textury, looks like fabric. So if you look up in the corner of that print, you can see there's like burlap texture left. That was a cleanup print, but it's also going to go in my book because it turned out really beautiful. And I can't remember what I'm doing right now. I guess I'm making another. Oh, I was picking up some of that. Look at that. Isn't that cool? And then I went and printed over it and ruined it. That was so cool. I wish I would have just left it like that. Oh my gosh. It was like circles and then some of the texture, and it was purple and blue. It was really cool. Yeah, I messed it up. I had these denim patches that were in my sewing stuff for when you mess up your pants and you don't want to throw away your pants because they're your favorites and they fit your booty just right. And I thought, wouldn't it be fun to put patches that had pattern on them? So I decided to try and print on them. And I got out my So Soft fabric paints. These are an acrylic paint, but they have the fabric medium already included so that you can use them on fabric. Of course, being that this fabric is pretty dark, I needed the opaque colors, which a few of these colors are opaque, but most of them are pretty translucent. So on the dark fabric, they don't show up as much. But I was treating it kind of like I have been with the shipping tags, printing a little section using some different stencils. And I was kind of testing out the opacity of the paint as I was doing that too, trying to get some brighter colors. And then I decided I would sponge a little bit of it on to see. I know that that white is pretty opaque, and I thought this light blue might be pretty opaque, and it is, because it's basically just blue mixed with white. So I'm just adding a little bit more dimension by sponging over the top of my printing to get some little highlights and stuff. But this was fun. And with a little bit of pen work over the top of that and then some heat setting, I think that that would be an awesome patch if you had a knee split or a split on the bottom part, back part of your pants. That happens too. You get holes in the bottom because you've sat down too much. It's because you've been sitting too much. So then I decided to try out some of this green and blue over the top of the white dots that I had done on a little bit lighter denim, and that turned out cute too. So this was, I had put excess purple paint on the smaller plate and let it dry, and then I put some white over the top and pulled it off, and it looks exactly like burlap. Like if you wanted to have a burlap look in your art journal or something, but you didn't want to add the bulk, well, there you go. It works out perfectly. Somebody asked me in comments when I had done the crayon resist, if that would work on fabric, and I said that I thought it would. So I decided to try it out, and I used a white Crayola crayon on that scrap piece of fabric, drew a little bit of design, and then just printed over the top of it, and it creates a resist. So it does work, and it looks kind of like batik. But I do want to say that what I did when I was printing on the fabric, which you just saw me do just now, with this canvas, generally I have done a ton of painting textiles in the past, and you need to wash them because they have something called sizing in them, which is designed to keep the fabric looking clean when it's in the store. So its purpose is to basically seal the fabric. So if you try to put an ink or a paint or something onto that fabric, the sizing resists. And I didn't wash this, but I wasn't planning on it being anything other than, just a test print or whatever. But what I did was I misted it and then printed on it, and that kind of loosened up the sizing and helped the printing. So I would say anytime you want to print on fabric, you should have it slightly damp, because that worked out great for me. I haven't actually tried it on a t-shirt or something, but I bet it would work great. And I will try it sometime. I will make a gel printed t-shirt for myself. So the next prompt, oh, this is a fun one. This is a useful one. Paper tubes. How awesome are paper tubes on the gelatin plate? I mean, they're the best. They make the best patterns, especially if you really like circles, because tubes come in circles, right? So for this first print, I just put some bright colors on there, and then I'm using different size paper tubes. That one's from packing tape. I had one that was from the inside of a paper roll, and I had, of course, a toilet paper tube. I mean, that's like the classic right there, right? And I made a bunch of pattern, and then this is where you can see I did not wait till the paint was dry. I should have waited till the paint was dry, but it still worked. It still worked just fine. Putting that white paint over the top and pulling up the colors. But it would maybe have been a little bit less sketchy if I had let that paint dry on the plate. And you just get a bunch of circles on a bright background right there. So that was my kickoff to the paper tube printing day. And then there was some left over stuff, and I thought it might look cool on my little tags. So I picked it up with some white paint, particularly like the one on the right. And then I had a bunch left over on my 6x6 plate, so I'm pulling that up as well. So that's actually a very interesting 6x6 right there. You probably just use that as a background. So then I decided I would use some ivory black, which is not the blackest black, but it is a black, and make some more marks using some different types of tubes. One of those is a ribbon spool, and the other one was the inside of a sellotape dispenser like Scotch tape. And they all make very interesting marks as well. And then I printed it over the top with the idea that the black was going to black out more of the background. But as you can see, I waited too long and there's way too much paint left on the plate. So it didn't black it out as much as I wanted. But it's still a cool effect. It'll be going in my book. It's one of my book pages. And then I liked the little edges, so I was picking some of those up with my cleanup print, which turned out super cool. All that leftover black paint pulled up with the white paint and made a gray print. I thought that was really cool. And I used some of the excess paint on the tube as I was marking on the smaller plate, and then I'm picking that up with some red and yellow. And you can see the subtle look of those circles on that print as well. And I thought there was a little bit more, so I figured I'd do it again with some white. And that one's interesting too. It's kind of almost patchy looking, but you can still see the circles. So, you know, don't ever waste those crusty bits. Hashtag crusty bits should be a thing. Don't ever waste those left on your plate. Pick them up with some more paint and you'll get some really interesting effects. So then this is ye old toilet paper tube, bog roll tube, whatever you want to call it, depending on who you are and where you live. And I formed it into a heart shape by bending both sides and then pushing down the one side to make it into a little heart. So if you don't have a heart-shaped stamp, but you do have a toilet paper roll tube, then you're in business. And then I put that on some pink and magenta, light magenta, dark magenta, then some white over the top. I think I used a bubble wrap on there too. Yeah, I did, just to make more subtle pattern in the background. And that's kind of a Valentine-y looking piece. I like it. There I was just picking up some more on my little segmented looking tags that I'm working on as I go. So this last one is a tool that I made probably 2 years ago out of toilet paper tubes. I cut them in 1-inch pieces and then I pinched them so that they turned into like a leaf shape. And then I glued them on a piece of styrofoam. And I've had that thing in my basket. It makes great prints. It's getting a little worn out, but the pieces want to come off the styrofoam because it's hot glued on there. But it makes fun prints. Look at that. That's a fun print. That's a 2-layer print. I could put one more layer on top if I wanted, but I decided not to. So then, of course, there's some leftovers. I'm going to pick those up with some light magenta. I hope you've enjoyed this video. If you have, please leave me a comment. Give it a thumbs up. Subscribe if you haven't already. Turn on your notification bells if you want to be notified of all these gel plate videos that are coming all the way into April, I figured out. And that's it for me. Bye-bye.